I think so. So we got maybe a minute or two.
Hi, everybody. You have the best here.
Yeah.
Listen up. It's all about the networking.
Yeah. So I think there was 6 RSVPs, so we got about a 50% show ratio. That's okay.
And I don't think it'd be late, but I'm here.
That's right. You made it on time. Thank you very much.
They'll probably dribble in.
That's okay. So I don't have the virtual attendees pulled up, but I'm assuming everybody can hear me okay. Everybody can see okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Will this be posted?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so welcome to Ignite Day 1. This is Ignite 2.0. So I'm sure we'll have a little bit of a variety from the different experiences that we have from the folks at home and the folks that are here in attendance. People in attendance, there are bagels and coffee in the back, so feel free to help yourselves if you'd like a little snack for brunch or a little pick-me-up so we can get through the next couple of hours. Is everybody okay going 11 to 1, give or take, nonstop? I'm fine if you have to use the restroom, whatever you go. This is a really small group, so I don't expect it'll take too long, but we'll just get through it. So Ignite Prospecting. My name is Jonathan Tomko. My wife, Rachel Alley, and I run Millennium Real Estate Group, which is upstairs. So we're a small team here in the office. We've been around, been licensed since 2015. Been a team for about the last 3.5 years or so. And we're okay, we're growing. The one thing that is probably a hallmark that we can hang our hat on is that we do prospect. We actively prospect, our team actively prospects. We don't have lead subscriptions to like Zillow, long form leads, Realtor. We don't pay for internet leads. We do utilize command, but a lot of it is generated from an organic approach to the business, people that you know, churning a database, staying top of mind, keeping in touch. And that's what we're going to cover today. It's just some of the things that Keller Williams has found success with, from some of the mega agents all the way down to individual producers, and what that looks and what that means for you guys. So we will get started. All right, what we'll focus on today. I was going to kind of ask for participation, but I feel like crowd's a little slim right now, but there's people at home. So are you guys willing to participate at home if I ask you to read a slide? Is there anybody that's willing to do that virtually?
Sure.
Sure.
Thank you. All right, what we'll focus on today. Somebody at home, grow your business, 1 through 4, go.
Lead generate for buyers and sellers, make seller listing presentations and get listings, make buyer presentations and get listings, preview real estate.
Thank you very much. So lead generate for buyers and sellers. Running your business is on the other side. I know that we're not doing a lot with marketing today, more on the prospecting side. So we're going to stick to the conversation primarily around lead generation. No? Okay. All right. So prospecting and how it contributes to lead generation. There's multiple methods that you guys can use. And I say guys interchangeably, please don't be offended. Guys, gals, us all. Sometimes it just comes out, so I apologize. So here we go. How to grow your business. These are skills, guys. That's what's important to know here. What is a skill? If I said, what does a skill mean to you? How do you explain it? What does it mean to be skilled? Anybody?
Studied expound on what you know, actually learned it.
Yes, right. It means you studied, you can expand on it, what you've learned. And really, it's like how well you do something, right? So knowing that these are skills, people aren't hiring agents for information. They can Google information, right? You can Google anatomy, but you're hiring a doctor. You can Google the Ohio Revised Code, but you're going to hire a lawyer, right? So your skills are how you become a better agent than the next person, okay? So what do we know about skills? Are we born with them?
Required through experience.
Experience, that's a good one. Practice, repetition, learning, studying, right? Mastering your craft. That's essentially what this is. This is a skill. This is a craft. This is the presentation. This is, I mean, if you're a performer, right? If you were an athlete, all the same principles apply. We got to master our craft of prospecting because it is essentially the lifeline of our business. Okay. So here I have a couple of notes. It says prospecting is lead generation effort that is proactive and direct. Agents are proactively going out to find leads to bring back to their database. Okay. So if I had to ask you to define prospecting in your own words, somebody here, how would you do it? Prospecting is in your job description. How do you explain to somebody what that means? Anybody at home? Yes, no, maybe?
I mean, I do a variety of things. I may be calling people that I start out with calling people I know.
Yeah.
I like writing personal handwritten notes. We get all the crap in the mail, but I know when I get a note handwritten that makes me feel like I'm important enough for somebody to sit down and do it. So those are a couple things
That's
I do.
personal touch. I love that. And you're right. There's so many methods. And it's exactly where we're going next. So we're going to connect the first section, prospecting to lead generation. And that was what we just you just had mentioned at home here. So this is kind of like going over our agenda, right? So these are the 4 that we're going to do. Everybody can see, connect prospecting to lead generation, dive deep for prospecting methods that was just mentioned, take action, develop your plan, recap and create your success list and daily success habits. Okay. So by the end of this, you should be able to describe prospecting and how it contributes to your lead generation. And that, as an agent, is your #1 job. Okay? Your #1 job. Why is it your #1 job? Everything stems from there. Okay? We have to have people. We have to have clients, future clients. Okay? Next slide. This is super cool. So this is something fairly new. If you've seen it before, pretty exciting, and I really like the way that it explains everything. So prospecting and marketing, right up here. These are our 2 lead generation efforts. Okay. Prospecting and marketing. Anybody know the difference?
Marketing for targeting audience.
Okay. Prospecting is a little bit more of a broad generic. Marketing, you're targeting a specific audience. Anybody else?
Prospecting is searching for leads. Marketing is actually just letting people know that you're out there.
Okay, good. I agree. I agree with everybody. So prospecting is a little bit more active, proactive. Like we mentioned in the last slide, marketing is a little bit more passive and attractive, right? Letting people come to you. So through prospecting and marketing, the point is to generate contacts to get into your database. Okay? So that's when we have our leads, contacts. Then we're going to cultivate it, appointments active, under contract closed. The reason that this is important is because your database is basically your network, right? That is anybody that can be people that you've met, to past clients, to the network that you're building. And generally, your business is going to grow according to your network. Okay, when you give people value, they will know, like, and trust you, and they'll want to do business with you. Okay, so our efforts here today is going to be spent on prospecting and how that gets contacts and leads into our database so that we can then nurture them. Okay. So the interesting thing about this is we call it a skill, right? Our product is real estate. Does that make sense? The product is real estate. In fact, if it all stems and it all flows from lead generation, we are a lead generation business that operates in the real estate industry. Make sense? Because if we don't generate them, how do we get them? What's the alternative? We buy them. Somebody else generated them for us, right? So we are a lead generation business that operates in the industry of real estate, residential real estate in this context, okay? So when we go to the next one, this is where it gets kind of creative, okay? So our message and our method, these are the two ways that we communicate these, okay? So I'm gonna read this out loud and then I want you guys to repeat it. It says lead generation should always be purposeful and intentional. On three. 1, 2, 3. Lead generation should always be purposeful and intentional. People at home, help me out. Lead generation is the life of an agent's business. Lead generation is the life of an agent's business. Okay? So, when I was kind of preparing for this, I thought maybe one of the easiest ways to walk through this would be using an open house as an example. We're going to cover some other additional information with open houses too. But let's say we were circle calling for an open house. Does anybody know what circle calling is? Yes, no, maybe? Okay. So
Yeah.
circle calling is a way that we can prospect around an open house. Okay. And we'll dive further into that, but for the sake of explaining the graphs here, circle calling is when you're just calling around the neighborhood that the open house is going to be in and you're telling the neighbors about it, right? You're doing kind of like some promotion. So the message, it's got to match our market, make an offer, okay? So what does that look like to match my market? If I have an open house, I know I'm going to circle call because I know that that's a good way to prospect, okay? My target audience is going to be what? The neighborhood, right? I'm going to call the neighbors around where the open house is. There's a sign in the yard, maybe a flag, maybe some balloons, maybe some directional signs. It's great advertising, okay? Market conditions. What do you think that would be? What am I saying about the market when I'm calling around the open house? What do we know about today's market?
It's hot.
Hot. What's that mean?
Things are moving quickly.
Seller's market, right? Homes sell fast. So if I'm circle calling around the neighborhood and I'm talking about market conditions, what do you think of that conversation? What's that message that I'm delivering?
Urgency.
Urgency, right? I'm getting it exposed. I'm working hard for my seller. I'm telling everybody about it, okay? We can also make an offer, direct offer, indirect offer. So our message can say something like, direct offer. Call me if you'd like to set up a private showing, okay? Call me, take action, call me. You want to set up a private showing. Or indirect offer. Stop by, visit the open house Sunday, 1 to 3. Okay? It's in combination. It's a form of closing. We're going to give them options, right? One or the other. Okay? But our message contains both. That's what's important. Okay? They could choose one or the other, but we're being the consummate professional and we're leading with both. Okay? Method. Again, I would say, like, if we're going to use this for an open house, we're going to prospect, I'd be calling, right? I can call these neighbors. I can give this message. Hop on the dialer. You can do that easily, 1 hour. Question here.
I used to take flyers from in-house.
Yeah, that's super important. So she said I took flyers and I went 10, 20, right? 10 houses in each direction, then usually it's 20 across the street. So how does that fall? So you're gonna door knock, right? Your target audience, and you're gonna do the flyers to talk about the condition. Now the flyers might advertise the open house, or you might have a business card attached to them, and it might say something like, if you know anybody looking to move into the neighborhood, please call me, or you could direct them to the open house. We'll be hosting Sunday, 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock at X, Y, and Z Drive. Okay. So over here, when we have the method, okay, we're going to prospect that's very active, right? We talked about that's what you just mentioned, the door knocking. That's the purple test, it's very active. The marketing might be like, hey, we're going to mail the entire neighborhood with an open house flyer. Okay, very passive, but a quality touch nonetheless. Why is it quality? Because they reinforce each other. That makes sense? They reinforce each other. And then right here, I mean, this is pretty simple too. So you're going to prepare, do the action, maintain your follow-up. Okay? So it's important that we know that there's two different strategies. Okay? Prospecting and marketing. What's prospecting? Active. What's marketing? Passive, attractive. Okay? We'll dive a little bit further. Some of the details. Anybody want to read this? Somebody read prospecting to me. It's right here in the gray box. What are the bullets?
Time sensitive or time intensive, proactive, immediate results.
All right. And then, stay person, do the blue for me real quick.
Money intensive, passive, long-term results.
Right. Which one do you like better?
Prospect.
Gray. I
Great.
want immediate results.
Immediate results.
I want immediate ones, yes.
You want immediate results. Okay. So you get a client, they go into contract. You got your immediate result. What's your pipeline look like?
Well, if they love me, I'll be able to hopefully get references and add those to my pipeline. But you're right, long term.
I love that you said that because I like your thinking. Yes, that's true. Very true. I would say that prospecting is maybe the more attractive one right now, right? Usually, we don't like to spend a whole bunch of money when we don't know what the ROI is going to be when we're new in an industry. Immediate results. I agree, right? We got to start making some money. We got to start getting active. We got to start building our pipeline. We got to get out there. So, time intensive. You think this is where we lose most people? Things are time and labor intensive. It's hard, right? I mean, our business, we face a lot of rejection. It's against our psychology, right? But over here, it's a lot easier to just do a bunch of mailers. I don't have to talk to people. I don't have to face rejection, right? It's so much easier. They go right in the trash. Sometimes it's true. So we really have to weigh what our end goal is. And we really have to find a balance that's going to be productive for us. Because this doesn't serve the longevity of your business if we're not marketing. But we can't survive off of marketing because we don't know when these deals are going to pop. We have more control when we're prospecting, right? So how do we know what to do? Anybody have any experience with either one of these that they could share with the group? Anybody? Anybody out there? Anybody want to be vulnerable? No?
My marketing lately hasn't really brought any fruitful results despite numerous paid campaigns. So which is frustrating, waste of money.
Okay, you're right. What have you done? Have you pivoted? Have you changed up your strategy? Have you implemented something that's a little bit more prospecting based?
That's what I'm working on now.
Okay. Will you share more about that? I'm sure there's a lot of people that are in the same boat that maybe aren't having the same courage to speak up and be vulnerable in front of their peers. But so marketing didn't seem to work out too well. Well, you said frustrating, right? Because it's taken long. That's good. We know that going in. So hopefully, since we know that going in, we won't allow it to frustrate us so much. But tell me more about what you're doing to incorporate some prospecting into there as a solution.
Well, to be honest, I'm really new to the brokerage, which is why I'm here to learn more about prospecting, because it's never been my strong suit.
Okay, good deal. Well, thank you for being honest and sharing, and thank you for attending today and participating. It's sure to come back to you, my friend. So anybody else have any experience where they've been either having success or challenge trying the prospecting route?
Well, one of the things I do is, at Christmas time, before New Year, well, I do Christmas cards as well, but I'll go ahead and send out the calendars. And I know because before I sent my own, I automatically, if somebody sent me one, would place that on my refrigerator because I liked having those dates in front of me. And not just the dates, but I like the ones that have, this is Valentine's Day, this is such and such a date. So I send those out. It's got my picture advertising, and that's a whole year of somebody putting that on the refrigerator. So that's one of the few I don't mind spending money on.
So let me ask you a question. Is that more marketing or more prospecting?
That one's that's more marketing.
How do we make it more prospecting?
Well, if you can follow up and call and say, hey, I sent you out a magnet. I just want to make sure you got it. And, so just follow up with a phone call. If you don't have a number and then you only have an email, follow up with an email.
Sure. So thank you for sharing. And that's spot on correct. You can leverage your marketing, whatever you're sending, maybe via the mail, with a follow-up call. It's a great excuse to reach out. It's a great reason, right? And it's pricey activity. Okay, so that's the combination. That's the synergy between prospecting and marketing. Go ahead, back in the room. You had something to share? No? Okay. Thank you, people at home, for sharing. So are we all in agreement that it sounds like it's better to be prospecting base as our foundation and then maybe marketing enhanced, right? We know that the Red Book says you lead with revenue. So if you're going to be spending money, we got to be making it. Okay? Here's the challenge. Conversion rates in our industry are very low, typically, right? So when we're prospecting, it's a lot of cold generation, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be cold, right? It can still be making calls to your database. But the reality is when we're brand new and we're developing ourselves and our skills, this is time intensive. So we have to make sure that we have very clear expectations for ourselves going in, right? Because if we don't have clear expectations that marketing is long-term and money-intensive and passive, a little bit out of our control by comparison, then we heard it on the line from somebody at home. It's very frustrating. How does a frustrated agent behave? Oh, don't break my heart. She said we cry a lot. No, you come see me, you won't cry. Don't worry about it. So right here, it's time intensive, right? So we have to know what these look like going in. That's part of training our mind. And as we get into more of the scripting practice and some of the other things that you'll learn through Ignite, part of the preparation is not just of the materials. It's not just of the actions. It's of the mind. Because you have to know exactly what you're doing. Because if your conversion rate is 10%, which is fairly good, that means out of every 100 phone calls, you're getting 90 rejections. So that means you could be on call 89 and you got to finish the last 11 just to hit your conversion rate. We got to know that going in so we don't get thwarted and we don't lose our passion and our energy, and we certainly don't lose our why and our connectivity to what we're doing. Okay? So prospecting and marketing, those are two huge ones. So we're all in agreement that we think prospecting with marketing enhancements is probably the best way to get started in our business. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. All right, I agree as well. So a couple other ways to look at this. I'm going to switch to the next slide here. Is prospecting. Okay. Owner face-to-face, circle prospecting we talked about, community outreach, key relationships, teaching and speaking, meals door-to-door, networking, boosting kiosks, walk-ins. Some of this obviously has to be taken with a grain of salt given the nature of our environment right now. We have to lead with being respectful of everyone. We don't know their situation. We know that the virus is looming and there's a lot of uncertainty and anxiety around it. So we always have to, it's not we have to, it is your job as a profession to lead with that and make sure that you're asking people what their comfort level is, okay? Let me caveat that with it is not an excuse because there's plenty of people doing plenty of business. I had an agent that just door knocked this weekend and she knocked it out of the park. So it's not an excuse. It's only an excuse if you want it to be, because there's plenty of people that are not letting it slow them down one bit. In fact, they're taking advantage of the opportunity to capture market share. Those are the agents that you should be competing with, okay? So enough about that. Back to prospecting. There's various ways to do it. If you turn to page 4 in your participation guides, everybody at home have their guides handy?
I forgot to print mine.
Okay.
I did not get one.
Anybody at home or here that's done any of these have a story to share about them? Whether it's door knocking, whether it's circle calling, whether it's a success story, a horror story. Has anybody gotten out there and gotten active to prospect and generate business yet?
My very first sale was from door knocking, and it was kind of ironic because the guy was kind of introverted. So the first time I went by, he would only give me his email, and he said, yeah, to send him, he wanted to know what his house was worth. And so I did all that and didn't hear from him, did some follow up. And then I went over, it was near my grocery store. So I finally thought, well, shoot, I'm just going to stop by. And I stopped by and he goes, well, he was very blunt. He goes, well, everybody in the neighborhood told me to go to this other guy. It was actually another Keller Williams agent. And he goes, well, I've called him and he hasn't called back. And he checked his messages one more time and the guy hadn't called back. So I got hired. So it's just that persistence, follow up.
That's an amazing story. I think that you just inspired everybody on this call because did you know what was going to happen when you were walking up to the door?
No.
Not a clue. But it was timing, right? When you're
Right.
out there and you're active enough, timing just happens to fall in your favor. A lesser agent that would have given themselves all kinds of a story about why they shouldn't knock on that door, especially after what you faced the first time. What made you do that? I gotta ask. What made you just the thick skin to get back out there and just try again?
Yeah, well, number one, he wouldn't give me his phone number, so I knew there was the only way I was going to talk to him was face to face. I'd sent emails without getting any feedback from him, so I just thought, I'm just gonna go back, knock on his door, and see what's happening. And I think that was 2 or 3 weeks later. So yeah, I just and it shows what happens if you don't follow up. Here he actually called somebody else who wouldn't return his call. So they lost out while I got the listing.
How long have you been doing real estate?
Not that long, 2 years.
I mean, that is such a defining moment where you feel like the dots connect, right? Like that is such a defining moment of your career. You'll probably tell that story for a long time, I hope, because when you see a new agent struggling, that's the first thing that you can tell them. Is that if I can do it, anybody can do it. You'll never believe how I got my first one. They need that from you. That's so impressive. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else have an awesome story or a horror story for that matter? This could be therapy. I'm open. No? How about a limiting belief? Is anybody afraid of door knocking?
I personally have never done it.
Okay. That's okay. I don't think that's right or wrong. Is there a reason why you personally never done it?
Well, I'm kind of new to doing it full time, so just haven't really decided to have the opportunity yet.
Okay, I understand. Well, I think your colleague on the call that just told that awesome story would be somebody that I pick her brain a little bit. And also, when you guys are role playing, when you guys see somebody having success and you want to inquire and you want to ask, I would consider it to be important to get into their mind, how they're thinking, right? Because anybody, we can go knock on the door and we can spit out a memorized script. But I want to know what got that young lady in her mind from rejection to determination. That's what I want to know. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know how you got determined, because that's a difference maker. That's it right there. That's the execution, is the determination that you get. A lesser person would have walked away and said, this isn't for me. And I think that is such a powerful testimony. So thank you again.
I didn't even know scripts either, so there was no scripting going on there, just winging it.
You know what? It's because you put yourself
I didn't
out.
know. I didn't know scripts then. It was so early on, and I didn't have scripts, so I just went out there and was winging it.
I think that's amazing. Yeah, I have a note written down here talking about prospecting methods, and it's okay that you haven't door knocked, right? You may never door knock. You may never need to. It may never be something that you do for your business. Okay. At the end of the day, out of all of this, all these things that we could be doing, ultimately, what you commit to will work, right? We say it around our team, like, what you work will work for you. Okay? We'll get into some practical examples, but for illustration, just say open houses. You have an open house on Sunday from 1 to 3, and you show up at 12:45. Put your directionals up on the way. Don't have anything with you. You're not prepared. You just maybe print the MLS printout. How do you think that open house is going to go? Because there's another agent that might value that opportunity a little bit more. They might circle call. They might door knock. They might go live and do social media, right? How do you think their open house is going to go? Way better. What if agent A, one person shows up? Agent B, one person shows up. Can you imagine the difference in the conversations that you're having with those two? Agent A, this open house stinks, it didn't work, no one came, right? Oh, they probably already had an agent. They'll give you all the reasons why not. Agent B, who was so prepared, who said, I don't care if one person comes, that's the only one I need. Watch this. They turn that into a lead and probably referrals. Right here, right? So what you work will work for you. Whatever you commit to and you just spell out and you just get in there and you just do it. Like, you just door knocking. Like, she didn't psych herself out, she just did it. So impressive. Okay, so remember that. What you work inevitably will work for you. Don't worry about your ego. Put it on your preparation. Okay? All right. So on page 4, which I kind of forgot to get to, there's some notes. You guys had any notes from some of the things that we shared, some of the ahas that the folks at home made? Please fill that out. Okay. So here we go. This is very practical. Dive deep prospecting methods. Okay, this is going to be a lot of the how, but I won't bore you guys to death. You guys can learn the how. Okay. So, organize my papers. Prospecting methods. This is basically, the goal is just for, at the end of this, us to have a better understanding of the different methods that are out there, what's working, and ultimately how you choose to be active in your business. Okay, so here we go. Somebody at home, what are these 4 prospecting opportunities that we're going to cover? Read it for me in the blue.
Door knocking, agent to agent referrals, open houses, social media.
There we go. Okay. Has everybody tried at least one of these? I'm assuming. God bless you. We have an exemption.
I'm open to it.
That's right. We'll help you. That's okay. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
I've done
Okay.
all of them.
What's your name?
Lori.
Lori?
Yes, Lori Sickles.
Lori Sickles. Thank you for being such a good participant. Okay, so you've done all these real quick. Which one's your favorite?
That's a tough one because for me, I like the personal. So maybe open houses. I like meeting people one-on-one and talking face-to-face.
Okay.
So,
Why do you like that?
Pardon me? Why do I like that?
Yeah.
You can read their, their faces. You can read their, just their body movement. So you can see, are they serious about buying? Are they just there to look? Are they just, you can just kind of figure out, am I wasting my time, or is this somebody I should really pursue? I guess that's, but like to me, texting, you can't get any of that, or, and I don't door knock much anymore because my knees are so bad, but I did just get lucky that one time. But, so for me, yeah, I just like to be, not that I don't mind agents giving me referrals, don't get me wrong, but you're also not getting a full commission then either.
Right.
So
you may have heard it said before, and you may hear it again, that we are in the relationship business until the conversation turns to real estate. Where are relationships built? In person or in text messaging?
I think it's both. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people, it drives me nuts, but would rather text message. I had a client who sold a house, or bought a house with him, and he wanted to text everything. So I'm older and it just drove me batty, but I think you have to know, you have to go with what your client wants. So I think you have to be able to do all of the above.
I think you're right. You got to know your audience, and you have to communicate. It's just like the platinum rule. You have to communicate in a way that they want to be communicated with. Okay. The only difference in what we were talking about is they were already your client when they were texting. And I do believe in texting. I think that it serves a wonderful purpose. I would caveat that saying that I don't think relationships are started or built in texting. They're in person. And that was the beginning of the conversation where you had talked about preferring to be in person. It's easier to read somebody else. You're probably better well-read. You can present yourself a little bit better. You have a lot more confidence because it's probably more accurate as to what you would expect you're received as, versus text can be very construed. People put their own emotions into the words, right? We've all had that happen. So I agree with you. Relationship business, and it's built in person. Okay? Thank you for sharing. So move on to the next one. Door knocking. This is up for debate right now. There's people doing it. There's people that won't do it. Okay? I think unless maybe you have a really bad experience that jades you with the virus, or maybe you have an upline that advises you not to go door knocking, that's a respectable decision. Okay? We're just signing the times right now. Again, I have an agent that crushed it this weekend. She went and printed 10 property analysis, 10 introduction sheets. She door knocked 10 expireds, talked to 6 or 7 of them. So she was out there and she was making it happen. I think regardless of the virus, this will always be a way to prospect. So don't discount it. Okay. In door knocking, what are some of our limiting beliefs? Like, why are reasons why we won't? Like, let's pretend the virus doesn't exist, right? That's an anomaly. Happens every 100. So why wouldn't we want to go door knocking? Why wouldn't we want the opportunity to shake somebody's hand, look them in the eye, meet face to face, and say, I am out here working hard? Bothering them, right? Okay. Anybody else?
Weather
Weather, that's true.
and the time it takes to do that versus calling.
Got it. So the how is different, right? There's trade-offs. Door knocking, you get somebody, it's in person and they can't hang up on you. Okay, but yes, you can make more phone calls. Okay. So what's some of the approach? I can tell you guys, it's really funny. It's I in a previous life, like I learned how to knock on somebody's door. So I'll walk you through it. I don't know if this is right or wrong. This is just what was taught to me and how I've always done it. So for the sake of learning, we'll learn. So the way that I would do it if I was door knocking is I would walk up and I would knock on the door. I would not ring the doorbell. Anybody know why? It might not work. Often we don't hear the doorbell from the front porch. So how would I know if it's working or not? Might not work. Okay. So I always knock, and I'm going to knock, and then I'm going to step back. If they don't answer, I'm always going to knock again. Okay. Careful not to knock on glass. Just FYI. Another thing is when you're door knocking, don't cut through people's yards. You don't walk through somebody's front yard to their sidewalk. Okay. I think if you park in the driveway, that's fine. Your car's usually running. If you park in the street, that's also fine. But don't walk through anybody's yards. Some people are very particular about that. You will turn somebody off. Okay. So you knock. Loud enough that if they're upstairs, they're going to hear it. If they don't answer, we're going to knock again. And then you get off their porch. You get off their stoop. If they have somewhere that you can get off and they can see you, you're not crowding or smothering their front door. And I would usually stand to the side. So I would have a notebook or paper or their lead sheet or a clipboard or something. I would have a name badge on or a lanyard, and I would stand to the side so they could see like my profile, right? And then when they come to the door, I'm gonna do it this way towards the camera, I'm greeting them from back there, right? Like I'm not in their space, okay? I'm not offending somebody that I don't know yet, so I'm being very cautious. I know these are little details, but I believe they're important, okay? For what it's worth. So I'm greeting them from all, and then I'm going to walk up, and then I'm going to, slowly approach and always lead with the why you're there. Because if you don't lead with the why, what do you think they're wondering? Yeah, who are you and why are you at my door? Right? Just answer those questions. Put them at ease. Let them have a conversation, right? Have some questions that you want to ask them. And if you consider yourself out there because you're doing a good job or it's truly coming from the heart of service, I don't have anything to be afraid of. I don't care if they yell at me. It does a lot more about them than it does me. You don't know why I think that? Because people will say, like, I don't want anything, I'm not buying, they don't want anything like that. But you know what I really genuinely think about it when we get active in our business? I genuinely think that if they were looking for a realtor, they would want one that goes door to door for the seller. They would want me. They would. Right? Because if they were looking for a realtor, they'd be like, hey, can I have the most passive one that Keller Williams has? I mean, is that who you hire? No. So they just don't have a need for you. It's not personal. Does that make sense? They get mad, they can hang up, they can lump you up with a telemarketer or, whatever. Girl Scouts go door to door, I don't even know. But the reality is if they needed a realtor, they would want one that's going to go door to door to promote their house for sale. Right? So I don't feel bad for working hard to build a business. And I don't owe anybody an explanation beyond what I'm trying to accomplish, right? It's for me. That's my drive. That's my ambition. Okay. So door knocking, we got the approach, we got the act, and the advance. What are those? So the ask is going to be whatever you're there to say. Why are we door knocking? Lord, why did you go back to that one that you went back to? What was the ask? What drew you back there?
I went back there because I hadn't heard from him and I wanted to know if he was still interested. I knew he had to sell. He knew he was being transferred. So I wasn't going to give up.
Okay. And then
Until he said no.
What? Go ahead.
Pardon me?
I was going to say, so that was the ask, right? The advance. Talk to us about how that conversation went and how you actually followed up to solidify and bring that deal back.
Well, like I said, he was kind of introverted. He would not give me his phone number. So I did go ahead and send him, the market value of his home. I did, ran the comps. I followed up with another email a couple days later. Still no response from him. And I think I did that for like 2 weeks. And then it was real near to the grocery store. And I said, well, the heck with this. I'm just going to drive over. And he happened to actually be getting the house ready to sell. His dad was there. And like I said, there was another agent that the neighborhood kept telling him to call because they lived right there. And the agent didn't call him. So he said, okay, you're hired. So it was just one of those things where it was like, well, I haven't gotten an answer from email, so I'm going to go knock on his door again.
Good for you. That's such a powerful experience to share. I think that's awesome. So the approach, the act, right? The ask, the advance. The approach, we know why we're doing it, right? We have our scripts ready. We got our mindset ready. The act, we're going to get out there and do it. We're not going to sit in our car. We're not going to say it's sprinkling. We're not going to say they had a no solicitation sticker on the door from 1991. Like, you're either going to build your business or you're not. It's really that, okay? The ask, what we dare to do, that's our script coming out. Are we getting an email? Are we getting a phone number, right? Are we getting permission to follow up? Are we sending a CMA? What is next? Because we can't squander the opportunity. See, part of prospecting and the beauty of the numbers not being in our favor is that when you do get somebody, you really, really value that face time. You really, really value that opportunity. You really value having that conversation, because if you're knocking on 20 doors and you only get one to answer, I don't know about you, but I'm going to make it count. Okay. Any ahas on door knocking? No?
Jonathan, how do you feel about door dropping, like leaving information rather than not? Given the current coronavirus environment.
It's a safe bet. Drop-bys are fine. I did one yesterday, financial advisor, but like I didn't see him. I went to his house though. I don't know. That's $1 million question. It's so subjective and everybody's taste is different. I would say that if you're door knocking right now, you should always have a leave behind, so somebody knows there's evidence you were there, right? So there's evidence of your effort, so then you could even follow up in the circle with a call. Maybe that's an answer, Mary. If you're doing a drop-by and it's very passive and you're just going to leave something on their porch, that's totally acceptable. And then I would make sure that I really reinforce that, like double back with a phone call, social media, email. I mean, everything from however Grubhub lets you know that your food's outside, right? You get a text, you get a photo, like you name it. Amazon, same thing. So I think that that's completely acceptable if that's your preference. Earlier point was what you work will work for you, right? There's two different agents. There are agents that are going to do a drop by because they don't want to talk to anybody, but they want to act like they're busy. And they're going to stay busy and they're going to feel like they're productive, but they're really not that productive because it's not generating much. Okay. Or there's an agent that says, yeah, I'm going to drop this candle off on your front porch and then I am going to call you, text you, message you until we have a conversation because I earned that conversation. Okay, so what you work will work for you. To Mary's point, you can do a drop by that's non-invasive and you can really leverage that for the conversation that you want. And that may be the best way to do it in this market, in this environment.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
So if you go and you're just leaving something on the porch and you're saying follow up, but how do you have that phone number or how do you get that email?
That is a good question. There are ways you can look it up, like using white pages. You could do some reverse searches. You can use Mojo Dialer. That's a good point. If you don't have it, how would you get a hold of them?
I do use white pages, which generally works. If it's a common name, it's not as easy, but.
Some of them require a paid subscription. You can do a people search. And then there's a million data companies right now that you could buy a list from, unfortunately, but I don't want to coach you into paying for lists of things. Social media, maybe. If you need their name, you might be able to find them on Facebook.
Yeah, but then don't you have to go looking in their mailbox to get their name? Well, I guess you can go, I'm sorry, you can go on the counter. You can go on the county site for that.
Yeah, the county auditor.
I will say that I highly recommend the white pages. It's very cheap and I can't tell you how many names and numbers I've been able to get through that.
Nice.
And it's
Good.
cheap, very cheap.
I like it. So in your manual on page 5, I call it a manual, you'll see some of the notes that you could take around door knocking. So the approach is knowing your script, reading your mindset, the act, actively listen, come from contribution, offer value. Okay. I'll caveat this. Prospecting, you always have a call to action, right? So you always want a call me, register here, email this, sign up here, like whatever it looks like. We're always ending on a call to action. Get comfortable giving away information. You have got to come from contribution and you've got to deliver value regardless if they are going to do business with you or not, because you don't know if they're going to do business with you up front. So you can't just withhold stuff and then wait until they are and then I'm going to unload it. That is not the way to run a business, okay? Like you've got to be comfortable. It's not a one-to-one. It's not I'm going to give you something, you're going to do business with it. It takes more to earn their business than that, period. Okay, so don't have the expectation that I'm only going to drop something off if, because your prospecting is flat out unconditional. There's no way around it. It does not matter what you get from it. We have to be committed to the activity. If we get caught up judging our results and what may happen, now don't get this confused with like not having a goal or a purpose or anything like that, okay? I'm saying get comfortable volunteering yourself first. It'll make you a better agent, okay? Anybody have anything on door knocking? No?
What's
Moving
a
on.
good source for
Agent dates and referrals. This is a good one. Anybody have experience with this? No. Yes. Somebody does.
Yes, I've got 2.
You got it. You might as well be teaching this class. Go ahead. Give me your stories. I wish I could see it.
well, I've got my camera up, but at any rate, the very first one was a lady who lives in Virginia, the agent's in Virginia, and she sold the lady's house, and her son lived near Westerville, so she called the Westerville office, and she called two people. She called someone who's very, very busy, had a lot of sales, because it was in the summertime, and she said, you know, I like this lady, and she said, looked at me and she said, you know, well, first of all, she asked me questions, I think, to see if I was going to lie about my experience, which was about zero. And I was honest with her and said, you know, told her what I did before and what I was doing now. And so she gave me the reference. She said, pick either one, but this girl's going to have time to spend with you. So I ended up getting that one just because I had no experience and could spend time with her. So that was one. And then we have someone at our office who's been ill, and I was helping him with open houses. And then he started giving me, you know, referrals because he just couldn't do them. So that's how I get them.
So let me ask you a question. What's the industry standard percentage on an agent-to-agent referral?
25%.
How does that work? Explain it to everybody else in the class.
Okay, so like the one from Virginia, she gives me the referral. I, you know, get this lady to buy a house. When you fill out on command, there's a place you can actually fill that out. You get her name and all the information you need. So she automatically gets 25% of that sale. And of course, then you have to do your 30% to the, you know, to your center. So unless you capped, of course,
Right.
And then you get the difference. But, you know, I figure even if you're only getting 45%, money's money. So, and then
45% on what though? Let me ask you that. What do you
well,
pay?
Well, it was a 3%. So,
But you only pay that if what?
Oh, well, if you know, I only pay it if the lady bought a house.
So did you pay that?
Yes.
To work for her? Did you pay that for her email address? Did you pay that for an appointment?
Oh, no, I just paid. No, I didn't have to pay anything for that. I paid it because somebody gave me her name. An agent, I shouldn't say anybody, an agent gave me her name.
Right. So agent to agent referrals means that sounds like it's a win-win situation.
Right. And then you've also then made a contactor with that person. So if I ever have somebody moving to Virginia, I'm going to call her, and, you know, hopefully she would call me again.
Right. Okay. So for everybody else, 25% referral, which means that if you're a buyer and you're representing if you're a buyer's agent, you're representing a buyer. Essentially, of your 3% gross commission, 25% of your gross goes to the referring agent. Okay. When I was brand new, I loved agent referrals because, like I mentioned at the very beginning of this, we don't really pay for a lot of leads, right? That just wasn't in my DNA. But an agent referral, yeah, I'll pay 25% gross all day on a closed deal because it's contingent. It's only if it closes. It's the only time I'm not fronting that money out of pocket. I'm building a relationship. It turns out to be a win-win when somebody closes. Okay. When we were brand new in the business, I think it was maybe the first year as a team, we did agent referrals was the third largest source of business. It was almost $3 million in volume off of agent referrals. Okay. Here's why. Long-winded. I'm from Northeastern Ohio, Youngstown, Warren area. One of my best friends growing up married a girl that we grew up with and went to high school, all through school, grade school, all through high school, so on. And her mother was the past president of the Columbiana Youngstown Board of Realtors. So I had good relationships where I was from. I had a good relationship with an operating principal who was kind of like a mentor in the beginning out of the Cleveland Market Center. They just hired their 400th agent. So I had a good relationship sending business up to Northeastern Ohio, and I kept in touch with them in my database. So if anybody asked in his office for an agent in Columbus, we would receive that. Okay. Another one, best man at my wedding, my college roommate, one of my best friends in the world, is the top producing agent in Akron. So I had these relationships. I would talk to these people about how they built their businesses, right? I would ask questions. I was coming from curiosity. I would always make it a point. If I wanted a referral, it's very important to me, and this is very true, to send referrals. Okay? I got to be willing to send them if I want to be willing to receive them. Okay? So agent referrals is huge, especially right now. Why is it big in this environment today?
People are moving further and further.
Inventory is low. Yes, somebody at home. Why are agent referrals important today?
People are
Tough
moving.
question. I'll give you a hint. Think of the job market. Think of the landscape of employment. Big word, starts with an R.
Relocation.
Relocations. Yes, relocations. So what happens at a time of crisis? People tend to go home. Right?
I think also with so many jobs now being able to be done remotely, people don't have to live near their work as much anymore to do their job. They can live wherever they want.
How about that? My cousin he went to Ohio State undergrad through his PhD. Got his first real job like mid-30s. He's a career student. Went out to work for Microsoft in Seattle. He was a tech guy. Now he can work from anywhere. Guess what? His house is in contract in Seattle. He'll be moving back to Columbus. His house is closing in December. He's moving his family right back here. That's one story. I bet everybody on this call has one that they can share. So do we think relocations are active right now? Agent referrals are a huge, hot source of business right now. Yes.
Yes.
So, Lori, that agent, is she in your database? The one that you did an agent referral for? Do you follow up with her? Is she on a drip campaign?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What? I'm sorry, what was that?
How come she's an agent?
Well, like I said, you know, if we can maintain that contact and that have a relationship, then hopefully she will consider me again, and I would certainly consider her because she's helped me. So you just want to keep up that relationship.
Right.
And
I have a theory that I kind of live by in our business, that it's easier to turn 1 into 2 than 0 into 1. Okay? In my opinion, that agent, she's already sent you a referral. The ice is broken. You did an awesome job. She's in your database, being dripped on, active, whatever, right? You're going to stay top of mind. What's the difference of somebody giving you 1 referral and 100? The barrier is broken, right? The more that they do, the more comfortable it'll be. Okay, so that's how you build that relationship. Guess what? If you happen to stumble into one to send to her, do you not make 25% on that?
absolutely.
How much work do you do?
None. I make a phone call to her and say, here you go.
What? How much rejection's involved?
None.
Not bad, right?
No, not at all.
Not bad. So think about that. Think about your family. Think about your colleagues. Think about your past life, where you went to college, alumni, I mean, like everything. Even if you don't know an agent in a market, but you may have an opportunity for a referral, can you not call and build a relationship? I mean, God, we do this all the time. There's so many people creating their own Facebook groups and all these networks for referrals. We still actively work them. I have relationships, like I genuinely feel that Keller Williams is a national/international company right now because we are connected across the map, but that's because we're active in this. Okay. So super important. Anybody else have any ahas around or experiences around agent-to-agent referrals? Anybody else at home or here?
Mine would probably be a little bit different than most people's.
Okay.
I started off doing property management for scattered sites. So I had a lot of agents who would refer me clients for management. And then after managing them for any period of time, I would then get to list them. So mine was really still a one-way street, but these people got to work with investors who turned them on to good management, which made everybody happy, and then down the line would get listings from it when people were ready to
Yeah.
offload their property.
That's genius. I mean, you're on the front lines of those people when they're ready to sell or if they're frustrated, right? Like you have a direct communication with them. I think that's opportunity at its finest and a great way to capitalize on that for your business. That's smart thinking. Yeah, good for you. So anybody have any experience with like growing referral networks, staying top of mind? I know we talked about the drip campaigns. Command offers a lot of the opportunity to look at different areas and find different agents and look at their bios and their production and different metros that you have a referral for, right? I think part of this is thinking big about the opportunity. Because the first thing in real estate is, well, I'm not from Columbus. I don't know anybody here. I don't have family here. I didn't go to college here. Okay, all of the above for me, and I think we're doing okay so far. Okay, so you have relationships, you have connections, you have alumni, you have these people. We can't prejudge what their reactions are. We just have to be driven and ambitious to go after it. And here's the beauty of it. It might not work out. So what? Who cares? You have nothing to lose. If you're on 100% commission, you start at zero. You have nothing to lose. Right? Like, I mean, I guess it can go backwards, but come on, like we're all starting at the same spot at zero. Okay. So the next one is something that I am not as well versed in as some of the other instructors, Command. Okay, so in Command, we've done it through Command. You can send and receive referrals, you can broadcast a referral, and you can map search features. So basically what this means is you can go in Command to find an agent, right? An agent can find you in Command. So you better make sure you have your profile working, okay? Because in Command, you can use broadcast a referral. That's basically like crowdsourcing. I'm gonna send it out there. You say, I have a referral in Indianapolis. To all the agents that are in Command in Indianapolis, in that area, they're going to have an opportunity to reach out and compete for it. Okay, so you could broadcast it in the same way that you could compete for one in your area. And then the map search features is if you know specifically where they're looking, or maybe you have this. They're moving back to Columbus. You know about it before a listing agent knows about it. So you're actually going to find a listing agent in the city that they're currently living in. See, it works this way sometimes because sometimes people don't say that they're moving until they're sure about where they're going. So somebody might be visiting Ohio that's planning on moving here. Nobody back home has any idea that they're moving. But then they spend a weekend going through some open houses, meeting you, going on showings, they get excited, they fall in love with the house. They got one to sell, and they want it sold yesterday. So even buyer's agents have a huge opportunity to send and receive listing referrals. You know how I know this? Because I've been listing people's houses, and I've been paying a buyer's agent referral in another city. That's how I So it's happening to me. It's happening to us. But it's cool because we're paying attention to it and we're learning from it now, right? So I know it seems weird that you have somebody in Columbus that wants us to list their house to sell, and I have to pay a buyer's agent in another city that I never met because they're the ones that made that phone call. So I'm not mad about it. I'm just going to find a way to do the same thing, right? I'm going to find a way to capitalize on it because it sounds like there's business in it, okay? So I'm not the best with Command, but there is ways to do this. There's also really cool things you can play with, like a US migration map, which will tell you where people are locating from county to county. But again, guys, real estate's popular. It's a thing right now. There's over 8,000 licensees just in Central Ohio, MLS. You know people with real estate licenses in non-competing markets that you could easily reach out to. And here's the thing. If you don't even want to ask them for business because you're not comfortable, just say, hey, it looks like you're doing a really good job. How did you build your business? Ask for advice, right? Give a little bit of value, ask for a little bit of value, goes hand in hand, okay? Open houses. Has anybody done an open house? No,
Yep.
yes,
Yep.
all right. At home first, and then we'll do in the room. At home, tell me about an open house.
Well, I kind of learned along the way, but the best way to be successful is have a sign-in sheet. Just ask them politely to sign in. You can say, you know, sellers, whatever reason you want. You can say, well, the sellers are just interested who comes through the house. Or I also ask for feedback on the same form. But the bottom line is you've got a phone number and name, so you can do a follow-up after the open house. So,
Okay.
and once again, just be there, be open, be friendly. You know, at that point, I don't think you need a script. You just need to, you know, be helpful.
All right, let's spend some time on this one because I feel like this is probably one of the more popular ways a new agent starts to get busy and generate business. Okay. Open houses. Are they a good source of prospecting and lead generation? Yes or no?
Yes.
Hey, everybody agrees? Everybody give me a reason why. Not all at once. Okay, people are coming to you. That was said here in the room. People at home, help me out.
The
Typically, they're ready to buy.
Yeah, the people can't all buy that house, and they're all obviously looking for houses.
Okay, I like it.
Even if they're not actually looking, they might know someone who is.
Okay, could they be a nosy neighbor thinking about selling next spring?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, keep going.
I get a lot of first-time home buyers that are just starting the process, don't know where to start, don't know how to talk to an agent, and that's a great way to get in there before they do talk to other agents.
Yeah, I agree with that. First one to educate, usually there's a lot of value there. Educating a client, becoming their advisor. Generally that kind of leads to an appointment where you can then hopefully get them as a client. Okay, why else? Open house, open house. Why is it a good source of prospecting and lead generation? Here, let me tell you why I'm peppering you guys with this. Because if we don't know why it's a good source, we're not going to do it. Okay? Another reason. How much does it cost to hold an open house? Practically nothing. Okay? Do you have to have a listing to hold an open house? Do you have to be a listing agent?
No.
No.
Okay. All right. So there's a lot of reasons why I'm drilling this, because this is going to be a humongous opportunity for you, and probably the one that I believe is one of the best ways to start getting your business off the ground. So tell me again, more reasons. Why is an open house a great opportunity for prospecting and lead generation for a newer agent?
It gets your name out there.
Yeah, you get exposure, you're meeting people. I like it. Why else?
Also just practice, experience, talking to people.
Practice. I love it. I don't know how many we're on, probably like 8. I bet you we could do like 30 of these. Why else? I'm challenging you to think on purpose.
It's a great way to get face to face with
Doesn't make
people.
you any- Okay, so it's working for you. I love it. Okay, great. Finding success. Why not do it again, right? Wash, rinse, repeat. Why else?
Just a mental thing, it helps build confidence in yourself.
You feel like you're progressing.
You put out your signs, and you did all of that stuff, and hey, that really worked well, or, you know, I can improve on that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that. And that's a really good point. Sometimes you can make 100 phone calls and you don't get anything from it, but you feel good about yourself. Maybe you face your fear. Maybe you got a little uncomfortable, right? The next time it's going to be easier. And the next time it's going to be easier. And the next time it's going to be easier. Okay? So yes, you're progressing. Even if you didn't get the desired result, you got something, and that's worth celebrating. Okay? You got better.
And
Why
you
else?
learn things about houses, because you're going to different houses. And so when you're going, like in the basement, and you're looking at a water heater,
you know what a water heater is, okay? Or
Yeah.
You can tell different things because they are dated or aren't dated. And you'll be able to be an expert and show your knowledge.
Yeah, this sounds like it's coming from experience where somebody has walked through an open house and probably asked you some questions about that property, right?
Oh, yeah, they ask, is that really a granite counter?
Okay.
You know, because there's fake and there's the real deal, and you need to know the difference.
Yeah,
There's different things that you learn when you go to different houses.
sure. So you're learning, right? You're advancing your career. You're advancing your knowledge. You're getting out there. You're being busy. You're having these conversations. You're considering yourself more of a professional, right? Okay.
I couldn't hear her. I'm sorry, but I couldn't hear what she said.
She said that when you're doing open houses, it forces you to in order to be, a good agent, hold a good open house, it forces you to know about the house, right? You got to go down, you got to look at the hot water tank, you got to look at some of the HVAC. When was the last sticker that it was serviced? What size is the air conditioner? What amp is the electrical panel? What is this, a real marble countertop? When was it updated? There's just various things that you could have. In fact, I'll give you a little aha that I had. I always would walk through and I would find like my favorite part of the house. And so whenever somebody was like passing through the kitchen or whatever, I would always tell them to go look at X. Make sure you look at X.
Oh, yeah,
Because why? When they come back, what do you think the conversation starts with?
that room.
Yeah, what'd you think, right?
Yeah.
So her point was about being a professional where you got to know your product that you're selling in and out. How many times do people come through an open house and they say, oh, at the back window, looking at the backyard, where's the property line end?
Oh, yeah.
What am I responsible for maintenance?
And when was the house built?
When was it built?
Do you know who built it?
By who? That's right. These are all good points, right? So yes, you do get to consider yourself more of a professional. What else? Why are open houses good?
Or your database?
Grow your database. Yep. Tell you, this is a brainstorm. This is going for a long time.
Could also grow your reputation among the realtors in your office. If you do a good job hosting an open house for somebody else, they'll ask you to do more. Which
How about that?
very
You build a
good.
reputation with people in your office. I have great stories and examples of that. I love doing an open house for a specific team when I was brand new because they had a clipboard ready, they had door knockers ready, they had materials, it was branded for me. All I had to do was go out there and work. I love doing open houses for them. So do you think I ever showed up late to one? Do you think I ever risked how I represented their listing?
No.
Hell no. Right? So do you think that they let me do open houses on a Thursday?
Yes.
Yeah, because we trusted each other. Right? So you do. You ever think that there's some agents in your office, in this office, and may have a buyer that's a little bit out of area and they just don't want to, they really don't feel like going to work for it? You ever asked? I mean, guys, when we say the relationship business, that doesn't stop at your client. It doesn't. Great points. Yeah, great points, great points. So page 7 is some of the open house in your little participation guide here. And then there's going to be another slide on it. So I'm kind of thinking that we'll wait till we get to the other slide, but preparation for your open house. Okay, this is cool. Your ego's not going to sell the open house. Your preparation might if we're lucky, okay? So what I'm saying is that put the emphasis on the preparation, okay? Make sure that you can speak to the house, make sure that you can speak to the neighborhood, make sure that you have your materials. We want to show up and look like we were ready for people, not like we were scrambling at the last minute, okay? We also want to make sure that we have our script, maybe practice, rehearse, how you want to direct the people that come through. Because the thing is, you'll find this is in your control. And our business is so complex, like we want to make sure that we can control things that are in our control. This is one of them, okay? Prospect and pursue. So naturally, the prospects I mean, part of your preparation could be the door knocking, could be the flyers, can be having a lender there, could be title company. Prospecting, are we gonna do circle calls around it? Are we gonna door knock? Are we gonna walk the neighborhood, do a 10, 10, 20 social media post, go live? Pursue. We've got to make sure that we get those people, we get them in command, right? Everybody that signs into an open house. People at home, when should you stop following up with the signees from an open house? The people that sign in, when should you stop following up with them?
And they put a block on you.
When they block your number. Anybody else?
Yeah, only when they ask you to.
Exactly. Why?
Respect them.
Okay. So
Well,
don't
because
stop until they tell you to.
yeah, you know, the whole thing is how many touches you do with people. So if they
How
don't
many
say
times
no,
does it become a client?
yeah, well, keep the touches coming. And if you're the only name that's coming in there and they, even if it's 9 months, a year down the road, you keep sending them stuff, they're seeing it. And who are they going to call? You know, they're getting stuff from you. You've got your name in front of them. So
They're going to call the person that was last in front of them the moment that they need something. When is that going to be?
like he said, unless they tell us to stop, I'm going to keep sending stuff.
Because we don't know. You're exactly right. We don't know when they're going to need us. Right? So unless they're telling us not to, your job is to reach out. You want to learn that the hard way? Wait till you blow up your follow-up, and then you call somebody because you're out of people to call, and they say, hey, thanks for calling. We just listed our house. Do you have any buyers? Because that call sucks. You know why it sucks? Because you let yourself down. The beauty of it is that'll be the only time, and you'll learn from it. Okay? So open houses. It's a sales event preceded by a systematic process surrounded by a wealth of lead generation opportunities. Okay? Yes. So an open house is a sales event preceded by a systematic process. Okay? Does the systematic process sound like I'm going to show up at 12:50, unlock the front door at 1, expect to generate a professional income from my effort? Or does that kind of sound silly? Sounds silly when we say it out loud, huh? Yeah. I agree. So, systematic process surrounded by a wealth of lead gen opportunities. I love this. We talked about a bunch of them. Circle call, door knock, mailers, 10, 10, 20, all the above, right? Social media, go live, promote it, find the groups, find the HOA, so on and so forth. Let me ask you a question. People at home, what's the rule on how many open houses you can do in a week?
There is not one.
Say again.
There is not a rule.
There's not a rule. So you mean if I master this systematic process, because it's literally a system, that tells me that I just plug into it, right? And there's a wealth of lead gen opportunities. It doesn't cost me anything to do this unless maybe I'm gonna have some cookies or some pop or something there, right? I don't have to have my own listing. Give or take 3 hours on a Sunday. I'm gonna say 3 hours because you should get there early and leave late. Right? But people are coming to me. And I get to have in-person relationship building conversations. If I'm knocking it out of the park with these, am I going to reserve myself and resolve to just do one open house on Sunday? Why not? The more the merrier. Thank you. There's no reason you can't do one on Thursday, on Friday, on Saturday, on Sunday. Do 2 on Saturday, do 2 on Sunday. Guess what? In, I think it's New Zealand or Australia or somewhere. I don't know because I haven't told this story for a long time. Open houses are 30 minutes at a time. Why is that? Yeah, because if you advertise it from 12 to 12:30, when are people going to show up?
29.
Thank you, in New Zealand. 12, yes, 12:29, 12:35, you're right. But for the sake of this demonstration, we're gonna say 12 to 12:30. So if you do from 1 to 3, people are gonna show up from 1 to 3, right? So if you do one from 12 to 2, and then 3 to 5, I mean, like, come on. Like, we can outsmart what's given to you, right? What's given to you is how to do open houses. It's up to you how many you want to do. Because if I'm doing 3 or 4, I'm doing the same activities. It's just around a different address. Do you think that you get better at building your skills through the repetition? Right. Heck yeah, we do. Think about anything that we want to get better at. If we're performing arts, we rehearse, right? If we're an athlete, repetition, mental repetition, physical repetition, right? That's how we get better. I think open houses are just one way to hack the business. I love them. I just think that there's so much opportunity, but people unfortunately don't dig in deep enough to realize it all off the bat. So spending a little bit too much time there on open houses. Lucky for you guys, in like 2 slides, we're coming right back for another reason. So moving on. Prospecting, adding contacts, follow up, stay top of mind. So this is command. Guys, one of the best things about where you're at right now is you have a very expensive CRM in your hands for nothing. The best CRM is going to be the one that you work. Anybody at home or here have experience playing around with command at all? Yes, no, a little bit, little bit.
Little bit.
Okay. Less about
I use
command.
it
Go ahead.
I use it a ton for my social media and for my emailing.
Okay, got it. So you're getting worked in. What I was going to say is kind of like a little bit less about, command and just more about how to use it as a CRM. I'm not that great at command, self-admitted, okay? But using a CRM, the point of the CRM is you don't have to try to remember. And that may be easy for some people right now on the call. They might be like, yeah, I can remember my schedule, my appointments. I got this, right? Like, I'm organized. But what do you want your business to look like in 3 years? Because eventually, I mean, like, that's what we're playing for. We're not playing for right now. Yeah, be playing for like 5 years at a time. Like, what's it look like then, right? What's it look like when you have to produce $50 million team and you got to remember some stuff, right? So using the CRM, guys, it's just a fail-proof. I just put everything in there. We used to use Brevity. We're transitioning to command for our team. That's how we've always done, right? Everything goes in there. So every day, every agent just opens up their dashboard, and that's what they work with. I don't have to remember anything, okay? Every task, every last contact, every person, every filter, every tag, every where they came from, when, their last activity, everything is in there. So that way, I just work it, okay? Couple reasons why that's important. Number one is we don't use our mental energy trying to remember and keep these things in our mind. That energy, if you expend it all there, how are you going to study your script in the afternoon? You're not. Okay? So take care of yourself in all of this. Okay? So it's just going to remind you of everything. Now, here's the other reason. Say you want to build a team one day. You got to teach people how to use a CRM. Because if one of your agents all of a sudden gets sick or gets exposed to somebody and they have to be on quarantine, somebody needs to know where their business left off. And it's our responsibility as a professional to not let those changes be felt or even noticed by anybody on the outside as a client. So if I go down, somebody on my team needs to be able to jump in, pick up, pass the baton right then and there to protect the client experience, right? Pick up where I left off. So we got to trick ourselves into being organized. Now, for some of us, me, it's hard to sit down and like do all those little tasky things, but it's okay because it doesn't make up most of my day. And it keeps me organized because I like using my mental energy for other things like strategizing. Okay? The lesson here is stay organized. However you're doing it, it's a lot easier to stay organized if you're using command. There's a lot of people that can help you, coach you, teach you with command. And command is the future CRM of Keller Williams. Okay? Use it, learn it, become a master. What I say, back to open houses. So anybody have anything on the previous thing about open houses or command? I know I went over it pretty quick. No? Okay, this is how to stand out at an open house. Those of you that have done an open house, have you done any of the above? 1, 2, 3, or 4? No? Yes?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Fire away. What'd you do?
Offer a gift, have a drawing, so you get their name and number, and have a,
Thanks. Did it work?
oh, absolutely.
So how did you do that? So just tell us all, like, start to finish. Let's say I've never done an open house where I've done a giveaway, right?
Right.
Tell me how to do it. I got one on Sunday.
Well,
do I do a wheel? Do I do a drawing? Do I do a 1 through 10? Like, what do I do?
Yeah, I do a drawing. I'll say, we do have a gift card prize if you want to sign up, and just leave your name, number, and email so I can make sure I can get hold of you if you're the winner. So now you have all their information. Even if they didn't win, you can follow up, you can put them in command. So you got all the other, that stuff. If it's one you want to be kid friendly, you might want to, bake cookies and have water bottles or whatever. So you just want to make it a comfortable and make them want to stick around. So the gift cards to get their information, the cookies, get them stick around a little bit longer, have a conversation. So
That's amazing. Like, I gotta tell you, oftentimes when I'm doing an open house or prepping for it, I'll be as honest as anybody you meet. Making the people that are coming comfortable is probably not a high priority for me. In fact, I'm sharing that because I don't even know if I think that way. I think in like a way of like, how are we gonna make this productive? So that is amazing because I bet you get really far with the people that come to visit you at an open house. And I think that's awesome. Good for you. I'm learning stuff too. Okay. So let me ask you a question, Lori. The giveaway. Do they only know about that if they attend the open house?
No, there's before my knees got so horrible, I would walk the neighborhood with flyers and inviting them and telling them, hey, bring your kids, there'll be cookies, whatever. There's going to be a drawing for, whatever you decide it's going to be, whether it's, if you want to do a Lowe's, something house related, if you want to do an Amazon, just whatever it is you decide to do. So make sure that, if they come, they can, draw for that. Ask them to invite people they think might want to move to the area. So that way you're reaching out. They can bring whoever they want that might be interested. So the more people, the better.
Yeah. So do you think that would be like a really easy conversation to have about maybe if I was circle calling, inviting the neighbors? I'd be like, hey,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
excited. By the way, we're having a giveaway.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That seems like a pretty exciting conversation. What about social media? Maybe you could create a post. Maybe you could pay a couple bucks and boost it. Maybe you could run a command ad, right?
Right.
Then if you make a post about it and you encourage people on social media, maybe when you're doing the drawing, you can go live, right?
I can. I'm still learning on that. Still learning on the live. But
Listen, girlfriend, I don't really know how to go live either. I know there's a live button, but I don't experiment with it. But I do know how to use things to generate business. So the cool part is we just merged 2 and 4 together. Right?
Right.
So we can think bigger about it.
So Jonathan,
Yes.
I just want to add about open houses and offering. We have a sheet that we ask people to fill out to give us the feedback on the house. Are they working with the realtor? How soon do they want to buy? And then when those are put in a drawing. But what we tend to do is the ones that are real receptive to us that we know we're going to add to our database and try to form a relationship with, everybody wins. Everybody gets recontacted by us and wins a gift card. Even if it's $10 to Starbucks.
I like that. That's a great
I think
idea.
that's amazing, Sue, because see, this is so good. How you do anything is how you do everything. And the way that Sue runs her business is better than most people. And that's exactly why. Because you think like that and you come from contribution and you're generous and you share it. And then the beauty is you're sitting on a call with a brand new agents sharing these valuable tidbits that they wouldn't have otherwise. Kudos to you. Thank you. That's impressive. Go ahead.
I am so glad that I came, number one. Hosting a speaker, I think, is positively brilliant. Have you done that?
I have not.
Have you done that, Rachel? Thinking of a speaker, and what comes to my mind is like a stager, right? If you could get a stager for,
Nosy
even
neighbors.
if it was 30 minutes, the period of time that they were willing to contribute to your open house, and maybe it's a Thursday evening, maybe, to get that person on Sunday, right? I love that. That is so cool. Like knowing your audience.
Hey, so time out. Let's just really go crazy, okay? Because this is what we're about to do. All right. So get the house in showing shape. Is it normal for a realtor to have a partner in business at the stages? Yes. Right. So you have a awesome listing. We're going to use our stager to get it into shape. See where I'm going with this? So guess who your speaker is going to be at the open house? It's just I'm going to swear, it's just like a badass listing, right? It's going to be your stager. And guess what you're going to do? Because you're promoting her business. You're probably going to go live and promote it and or offer a gift for go live, something like a gift card for staging, like whatever it is.
You can offer gifts because you're co-branding and giving the business and the opportunity, right? Yeah, I love it.
So you could just do all of these. Like, do you see like between, this is so funny because now you got the people that have a little bit more experience in the room getting excited about ideas, and you have Sue who sparked all this, and now Mary and I, and you just do it all. Like, that's what we're telling you. Do it all. That's it. That's the secret. Do it all. And do it really, really well. And what you think is enough is not enough. If you think giving one gift card is not enough, Sue's going to come right behind you and do an open house where everybody's a winner and everybody gets a gift card. And then you will never go back to just one gift card ever again. Because that's
One of
what
the-
it is.
Yeah. In the market we've been in, you're going to have a ton of people come through the house. I always try to get a lender there. So if they're not ready, they can get pre-approved right then and there. So that's another good person to have at the house with you.
I agree. That's awesome.
I used to be a lender and I did go to a lot of open houses and I got business that way too because they're looking for a lender. They might not be buying that house, but they are looking for a lender. So it's a value proposition for everyone who's there.
Yeah. And does that lender not have a database? Do they not know how to either sponsor something or door knock or share it on their social media? Can they not work with you to prospect? Because there's also something to gain in that for them, right? You're bringing the opportunity of an open house for them to get business. They're going to be bringing something that's going to be equivalent, right?
And you also look like a hero too because you have this connection with this awesome person.
Yeah. What more does a client need, right? You can talk about the buying or selling, and you can talk about financing right then and there. Might take some pressure off of me if somebody comes through and asks me financing questions and I'm brand new and I'm not sure about those answers.
Also, that lender or guest might split the cost with you on snacks or whatever you're providing because it gets them business.
Yeah, if you're going to have somebody there, don't you think it's worth it to maybe go above and beyond? Right? Maybe we do have snacks. Maybe we do put up some extra signs. Maybe we do treat it like a mega open house. Maybe we do have a speaker. Maybe we have somebody set up outside and inside. It's a lot that you could do. And then you do 2 of them or 4 of them on a weekend. I mean, like, let me ask you a question. Silly question. If you do 4 open houses like that on a weekend, do you think you're not going to generate business?
cool thing is how you now translate that into any listing presentation.
Keep going.
Well, I was really, that was all I had to say. But, just your value proposition changes drastically to whomever it is you're speaking to.
Right, because if that's your commitment to sell that house, you sit there and what Mary's saying is you share that at the listing appointment, at the table. Nobody else is doing that. And then you're gonna be like, yeah, look at this house and this open house and this and what I did, and check out my social media. And I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and you can bet on me. That's when I'm knocking on somebody's door. And if they slam the door in my face, I say, that's fine. They just don't need a realtor right now. Otherwise, they would want to hire me. Right? Think bigger about it. Okay? Guys, sick of open houses yet? Because I'm running out of time. So we gotta keep going. Social media. This is a big one. Very popular. I mean, you could essentially just take your friends list and pretend like that's a database. And you can put yourself as the real estate experience, everybody that you're connected with on Facebook or Instagram. Okay? We all know that there's a million social media professionals, and you could outsource this, you could do it yourself, you could hire it. Video is important these days. What's most important though is the next slide, which is where I wanted to spend some time for social media. This is huge, right? This is huge. I once studied, I didn't read this book, but I studied some videos, and I took the assessment and whatnot for a book that is called How to Fascinate. And it's by an author named Sally Hogshead. Super cool read. One thing that I regurgitate all the time is she says the most value that you can offer the world is to be more of yourself. Because there's no other.
Could you repeat the name of the book again?
Sure. It's called How to Fascinate by Sally Hogshead. If you Google her, there's personality assessments, there's all kinds of engagements where she's speaking in books, and it's all pretty cool. But I just thought that was one of the most empowering things I've ever heard. The most value you can offer the world is to be more of yourself. Nobody can take that from you. Nobody can do it as well as you. Nobody can be a better version of you than you. So when it comes to social media, authenticity, guys, connectedness, right? Think of who you follow on social media. It's not a bunch of people who you don't agree with, you don't have the same beliefs, or you don't share things in common. So what do you want that brand to look like for yourself, for your business? I mean, there's some agents that I know that they take this to a whole nother level where they're like, hey, if you don't like it, don't do business with me. I didn't want to do business with you anyways. Right? So there's so many ways to do it. It's just about finding the ways that click and work for you. All these different areas of prospecting. We can't do them all. We got to find the ones that work for us. They all work, but they don't all work for everyone. Does that make sense? We'll come back to that at closing. But for now, social media. When you guys are doing your posts, when you're doing your shares, it's okay to post real estate stuff because you're telling everybody out there that you're credible. But it's also even better to share it with the win of your client, or the story, the success. How share that positive experience that that client had, right? Share anything. I mean, if you're into cooking, if you're into golfing, if you're into hunting. I read a book called Sell It Like Sirhan by Ryan Sirhan. Everybody knows him from $1 Million Listing. Okay, never saw an episode of that in my life. I don't know anything about it. However, it was recommended. It was a pretty good book. What he did, though, was he incorporated lead generation into his already existing lifestyle. So what does that mean? He went to the gym every day. So he went to one gym at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. It caught a morning crowd. He invested in another gym membership and went to a different gym at lunch and caught the lunch crowd. He invested in another gym and went to a different gym in the evening and caught the after work crowd. He said to himself, hey, I have a lot of conversations in the gym. Usually comes up, what do you do? So instead of either going to workout or going to lead gen and deciding, working out was part of who he was. So I just threw a multiplier on it. Is that not the same thing we just did for the open houses? You throw a multiplier on, right? Doesn't that seem a heck of a lot easier?
Yeah.
Like a heck of a lot easier. So in this example, be yourself. It's going to come up with what you do. There's a phenomenal agent in this office named Carol Shear, who will teach a class called Win with Buyers or Sellers, and she will tell you when you go to the grocery store, put your name tag on upside down. Why? Somebody at home, tell me why.
So someone will talk to you to tell you.
No kidding. Crazy, right? But it works. You're just starting a conversation. If I ask somebody what they do for a living, what do you think they're going to ask me back?
Same thing.
She said, why do you want to know? No, they're going to ask me what I do for a living. And then that's how you take it, right? So the idea is, guys, be you, because guess what? This is where the connection and the relationship is built until it turns to a real estate conversation. So all those signees from an open house that we said, how long do I hold on to them and follow up? Until they tell us otherwise, because we don't know when. Guess what? It's not your job to know when. It's your job to be ready. Okay? So don't try to force it. Don't try to predict it. Don't waste all your money. Just be ready. Be prepared. Right? So when the conversation turns to a real estate conversation, you're there. Right? I got agents talking to people all over the place. Half the time they're trying to lift up somebody else's business. Why? Because they know if they help other people, it will come back to them. And they know that every time they reach out to somebody to help promote their business, they are still a real estate professional. So in the background, I'm always a real estate professional. But I'm not leading with that. I don't have the commission breath. I'm not talking to you just because of what you can do for me. Right? It's not a one-to-one. Don't have that expectation. You'll only let yourself down. Okay? Get out there, be yourself. You're always going to be a realtor in the background. Got it? Any questions, any ahas, any experiences with social media to share for the group? What's the name of that book?
How to Fascinate?
By who?
That I didn't write down.
Sally Hodgson. That's right. Thank you for participating. All right, so we got about 10 minutes left. I got a couple other things to go through. Somebody at home, read what's in the red for me.
%, got 90% of their business from 5 sources or less.
Okay. Explain that.
80%. I'm thinking. Let me think.
All right.
80%.
Anybody can explain. You read it. You don't have to be on the spot, but you're welcome to take a stab at it. Somebody explain it. What that mean?
80% of agents got 90% of their business from only 5 lead sources. So they focus on those 5 and let the other ones kind of fall to the wayside a little bit because they're not producing for them. Focus on actually return on investment.
Yeah, because an investment is more than money, right?
Right.
Money could be time, could be energy, hours, challenges. I mean, like, There's a lot that goes into it. So you're 100% right. 8% of agents get 90% of the business from 5 sources or less. That tells me the trick is to go deeper instead of wider. Right? So let's tie this all together here in the last few minutes. I love open houses, as you guys understand. If they are a source of business that I crush it, would it make sense to do 1 open house a week or try to find a way to do 3?
Find a way to do 3.
Yeah, right? Because if my #1 source is an open house as a brand new agent, which it very well could be, and I get 40% of my business from there, why am I being busy trying to do it all? I'm a dog fan, that's okay. Right? So you guys like, are you guys picking up on this concept right now, right? Because what happens is we think we have to do everything. If we don't do everything, then we don't think we did a good job. What does that mean? That means that when I have an open house, I think I got to get everybody to sign in. Everybody's got to sign in. If I don't get everybody to sign in, I didn't do a good job. I don't like that expectation. Because that's an all or nothing. That's a black or white.
So it's different now. The open houses are scheduled a half hour at a time, and you know.
Yes, it is different now. You are right. I probably wouldn't be that good in the open house right now because of it. You're better than I. The way that this pertains is that open houses, you do as many of them as you can fit into your schedule. Right? Like, so what happens is when people are coming in and we feel like we had to get everybody to sign in and they didn't, I'm like, oh man, I missed out on a lead. That's what we think. Oh, there goes one. No. Listen to Sue Lust-Gleach and her experience in this business. The people that you connect with are the ones that you move forward with. Okay? So there's a difference in that mentality, in that mindset. That mindset says, the 5 people that I connect with are who I'm going to move forward with. Not the person that blew by me, not the person that wrote a fake email down, not the person that refused to answer my question. I don't need to chase them. Come on, even if I caught them, is that going to be a good business? Excuse me. Who likes being chased? What happens when you get caught? Are you like, oh, good thing, now you caught me, now we can do a deal? Hell no, doesn't work that way. So the point is, don't think like in net, like you got to get everything or else you're missing out. Like, and I get it, because the brand new agent, the only thing you care about is where's your next deal. Nothing else matters. I get it, I've been in your seat. I know exactly what you're thinking. But the truth is, don't worry about the people that are fleeting. It's nothing lost on you. Okay? Find the people that you connect with, the people that you would give a gift card to, whether they are the winner or not, because that's who you are, and that's how you want to set the tone for the way doing business with you will go. See? Makes sense? So, you have an open house. 10 people come through. You connect with 2 of them. Listen, I'm not saying you can't email everybody because you got their email address. I'm saying you spend time with the people that are giving you the same reciprocation, okay? Because you can't force somebody to buy a house. You can't sell somebody a house that isn't listening, right? Not everybody's going to be your client. Trust me, you don't want everybody to be your client. Now, this is not an excuse for saying, well, I went through an open house, I got one person. Like, take this with a grain of salt. I'm saying it with a purpose, right? Connect with people, just like social media, it all blends together. Connect with people because of who you are. Let the business fill in the gap when it's necessary. Okay? Because if this tells you anything right here, it's that the biggest and best agents aren't casting a wide net. Okay? They may have 5, I mean, really break it down to 3. Jeez. Or 2, frankly. Okay? So it's not about doing it in so many ways because that's coming from a place of scarcity. Come from a place of quality, from a place of abundance, from an I'm going to do a really good job here. Right? It's different. Not only is it different for you, it's different for them. Kind of back to like how you make yourself a better professional that way, right? You just feel better, right? You feel like you know your craft. You guys have ever heard the cliche, like, what is it, jack of all trades, like master of none? Okay, here's another thing. Generalities get you generalities. Okay, what do I mean by that? Real quick, kind of off topic. Scripting, let's talk about a referral. If I say, hey, do you know anybody who wants to buy or sell a house? Very general. What do you think they're gonna say? No. But if I say, hey, Mary, is there anybody this time of year going into the beginning of next year that you know that's relocating? You know anybody going through a job change? Anybody looking for a new job? Oh, yeah. Weird. Specific questions will get you specific answers. So specific approaches will yield you specific results. General approaches will yield you general results. Does that make sense? General lead generation will yield you a bunch of names and numbers. You with me? Okay. All right, so here you go. Take action and develop your plan. Prioritize your lead generation efforts. Here you go. The list, the priorities, the focus. Where's your business coming from? Go back to that well. Right? Here's another example. People in this room, people at home, you guys have Netflix, right? You guys have Amazon. Your homepage looks different than mine. Why? Yeah, perfect answer. It's geared to you. So think about yourself as a consumer. You don't expect general service. You expect personal service, specific service. What kind of service are you giving? Okay, get specific with it. The best part is, you know how awesome, like how deep you could take any one of these? You could really shrink to 3. And then you put that multiplier on it. That's when you're running a business. That's how you develop predictability. That's how you develop your skills through the repetition. It's not guessing. It's not fishing. It's not luck. Okay? So you got to look at yourself. This is why you got to track it. Also why you got to use your CRM, and it's got to be accurate. Guys, you're a professional. Okay? So you got to track this stuff. You have to know exactly where it's coming from. You have to know exactly what it costs you. You have to know exactly what you're yielding from it. Okay? I don't know if this is it or not. Ahas, this is it. Can somebody at home give me an aha for any one of these? I don't care what they are. Just read the one first, then give me an aha. Somebody here too. We have like 2 minutes left, and then you guys are out of here. So, how has your thinking changed? Ideas or mindsets are new? What do you feel differently about? What was meaningful for you today? Behaviors, what actions will you take going forward? Tools, models, systems. How are you going to use it to make you accountable? Anybody have an aha? I think I get rated after this too, so. guess we all have skin in the game. But
Sorry, I was on mute. I liked your point, Jonathan, about give people value. Don't be trying to sell them something. Give them something of value. I thought that was a great point. And sometimes that's really often hard to think about. What would somebody value? Can you give us examples of times of things that you offer of value?
yes, that's a tough one. The first thing that came to mind when you asked was, how do I determine if something's valuable? I just think, if this was me, what would I want? Or what would I find it valuable, right? So, example, if I'm door knocking for an open house or doing a mailer, I think to myself, why would I care if I live in a neighborhood and my neighbor's selling their house? So then I think, okay, well, their property value is going to affect mine, right? What their house sells for does impact my property value. So I think that's important to know. So that would incorporate that into like a script. That's valuable if, why you're coming to an open house. Another reason might be inventory is super low. I don't really like that one, but I guess what I was thinking was like inventory is super low. So I was calling around the neighborhood. If you knew somebody that wanted to be in Olentangy schools in your subdivision, XYZ neighborhood, we're going to be having an open house. We're expecting a handful of offers. It's going to go quick. So we need to schedule a private showing, or I can get you in right at the open house. Something like that, trying to create an urgency, but that wasn't a good one.
Pick your neighbor.
Pick your neighbor. Yeah.
Actually, I thought that was a really good one, because I think what we're seeing right now is a lot of neighbors have folks who want to live in and around them. So I really do think that was a good script.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you're right too. There is a lot of truth to that. It's just one of those things that, like, when people move, like, it's a hot topic of conversation. And I think it just puts these things in our minds that maybe weren't there otherwise. And yeah, people do like that because every subdivision is like really community focused. Bridge Park is one. Literally, Rachel and I went to Bridge Park to go to the North Market to check it out. There wasn't really much open, but they had the signs. So then, because we live downtown, we went to the actual North Market. It was literally the same vendors. And I was like, oh, cool. So they're just created the exact same thing. So people don't have to come downtown in Dublin. Nothing wrong with that. So yeah, there is a huge sense of communal living that way. Okay. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate that. Any other ahas?
The ideas for open houses and giveaways and such, I thought was a really good one. I hadn't really thought about.
Yeah, and it's not even, I think maybe it's less about what you're actually giving away, and it's more about how you use these things to leverage the conversations that you want to have. Like, if I'm scared to just call somebody for a circle calling around an open house, I have no problem calling and saying, hey, we're doing a drop. Hey, we're doing a giveaway. Right? Just wanted to make sure that you were included. We wanted to invite you personally, make them feel special.
Right.
And you get to leverage those conversations. Right? Because then you can follow back up. Hey, I didn't see you at the open house. I know that I talked to you before. Hey, were you still interested? Hey, I sent you a gift card anyways. Like, guys, you will create more opportunities than you will bump into. Okay? Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? No? No?
I'd like to know that more of oneself.
Yeah.
That was a good nugget.
Yeah, that's pretty empowering, I think.
Yeah, that was a good one. I also like to people who you connect with or who you move forward with, and not forget the rest, but don't let that
Yeah.
bother you so much.
Yeah. So I'll give you where some of this stuff came from when I was brand new. This is kind of what I thought if I was going to model a business. I really like this approach. There's a podcast that I've listened to forever. We share it with a lot of newer agents, but there's a podcast called Super Agents Live. If you just Google it, and then you can search for episode number 219. And it's with Michael Mayer. He's a big referral Keller Williams guy out of Southeast United States, Georgia, Atlanta area. And it's called Attract, Don't Chase. So it's about using these things and building a business based off of attraction, not a chase. And he will take some of the snippets that I gave to you, and you'll see exactly where they came from. And he takes it to a level that is, it's awesome. It's more than an hour long. It's really about an hour and 20 minutes. It's a long podcast, but it's something that I've studied and we listen to regularly and how we envision building our business. So a lot of those nuggets came from there.
What was the name of that podcast again?
It's called Super Agents Live.
Cool.
And it's episode 219, 219,
Thank you.
called Attract, Don't Chase with Michael Mayer. Maher. And I'll just back it up with a promo. If you really look around, I think you'll see Rachel and I on the podcast from Super Agents Live. And if you really look around, you'll see Rachel and I on a podcast with Michael Mayer himself on a referral podcast that he does too. So we keep in touch with our relationships across the country, but that's just a plug. Cool. Does anybody have any questions? How do you guys feel about this? I talk really fast, and I feel really bad that I couldn't connect with the people on Zoom. But anyways, was this okay? What do you guys think? Did you learn? Was it interactive? Was it boring? Was it fun? Was it different than what you expected?
It was very insightful.
Good. I'm gonna take that as a
Thank you.
I need to been through Ignite how many times? I think this was outstanding.
Oh, that's
And it's your presentation and the material was just really on point. Thanks.
thank you. It was tough.
Thank you. I think you could tell too that you're passionate. So that was a plus. You did a great job.
Thank you. I've never done Ignite 2.0, so it was new to me. And thank you guys for having me. It was a pleasure. If anybody needs anything, feel free to reach out. Rachel can put you in touch if you have any questions or if you want to know anything above this. And other than that, get out there, guys. Rock it. Thank you for your time. I truly appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This was a room full of people you'd be getting applause right now.
Yeah, standing ovation.
Yes.
I know, like, I feel so bad.
I don't know how to do this.
That's okay.
He goes to sleep, Jonathan. I had to wake up sometimes. I was doing it this morning.
All right. Whew. Oh, I didn't give away any candy. I forgot.